Good morning and welcome everyone to the Ultimate Trading Webinar for Beginners. My name is Danny and I will give you the webinar today. Great. So in the meantime, let's explain what will happen in the webinar in each and every step. We will open the webinar with a quick introduction to the company and to this facility, which is called a web trader. This is the desktop version of the web trader, but you can also find it in the app on your device, and it's called the AvaTrades trading app. We'll speak about it more very soon. The second segment will be more practical, and it will be the majority of the webinar. We will acquire some very useful skills with the basics of trading, how to compose a position and design it in a way that makes sense. And later on in the last segment, if we'll have spare time, perhaps we'll look into analysis. Again, just the basics, nothing too crazy. And it's important to know that any capital markets and trading information disclosed in this webinar is provided for informative purposes only and should not be constructed or applied as an investment advice, recommendation, or a suggestion. Now, a very common question is if it's possible to watch the recording of this webinar, and the answer is, of course, yes, you may. The webinar is recorded, it's live. As you can see, guys, you can ask questions and enjoy the answers right live on the screen. And it will be uploaded to our YouTube channel later on. So if you would like to watch the recording again in your own pace, you can just search for AvaTrade on YouTube, and in our channel, you can find a lot of more additional content. Anything on your mind? Let's get ourselves a nice place for the notes. Okay, and like I said, we will open the webinar with an introduction to the company and this facility. So as many of you know, AvaTrade is a regulated company. We're here since 2006. Of course, if you got a question or a query, you can address our customer service live on the chat or on the WhatsApp. Of course, if you're using a different interface, you won't be able to see these buttons, so you can just directly send an email to cs@avatrade.com. Now, this is regarding all the customer service. What if you have a question regarding your strategy, something regarding trading, risk money management, analysis? So you can have a senior account manager assigned on your profile and to give you dedicated assistance through your process. And like I said, it can give you solutions for questions regarding strategy and analysis and everything under the trading umbrella. This service doesn't cost anything additional. All right. As I said, we are now looking at the web trader. The web trader is not a platform you have to download or install. It's just directly from the website by logging in with your email and password. Now, if I'm using a phone, I would need to look for AvaTrade's trading app, which looks very similar. The interface and the features and what I'm going to show you, you can mostly find on the app as well. I would like to also put down the regular platforms that we have, just so we would know what platforms we have. We also have other futures and other options, and lastly, Ava Social. Now, Ava Social is a great solution for beginners, and the reason is what it allows you to do is to follow and to copy another trader. Now, it's pretty obvious that as a beginner, I'm not always going to have a strategy in mind, and perhaps I would like to have some idea from someone else. So what I can do in Ava Social is very similarly to what we see here. Of course, it's a bit different. It's not a phone, it's a computer. So to show you exactly how it looks like, it's very challenging. Okay, but imagine that you have this nice list here and you have traders which you can pick from and you can follow or copy. Follow means you're gonna get messages such as almost like a signal of the position that is taking, and you can choose if you want to do the same or not. And copy means that you're going to link your account to somebody else's account, and it will run automatically based on the strategy that the trader is trading. Meaning, let's just quickly understand that. Okay, so let's suppose that we are trader A and we can either copy or follow. So follow, as we said, is messages. We get messages with the positions and we can choose if to do it or not, but the positions will not be executed automatically. With copy, on the other end, the positions will run automatically. And what I can do in Ava Social is I can also determine to go for a lower lot size, which gives me a huge advantage to test the strategy first before I go ahead to its full extent. And I can still enjoy the strategy with a lower lot size. And then in case I'm following someone with a much bigger amount than mine, so I'm with 10 and let's suppose I'm following 100 or 50,000, so it's very probable that this trader B will take positions that my account will not be able to withstand. So to customize the lot size is very useful. Then you lower the impact for the position on the market. Okay. Now, let's proceed with the buttons that we see here to the left. Okay, these menus. Again, I would like to say that what I'm going to show you now are things on the web trader. So you're not going to see them on MT4 and MT5. Okay. All right. Now, the first icon we see here will lead me to see my personal information. The lower icon is where we are at right now. We can also get to it by clicking here on the AvaTrade icon. That means, for instance, if I am at here and I want to go directly to the charts, to the default screen, what I can do is very easily click here on the icon and it sends me right back. Underneath we have the positions, under that we have the orders. So if I have just any pending orders that I have a pending buy or a sell, I'll see a list here which allows me to choose what to do with my positions. Underneath we have history. We can obviously change the time frame for the report here. Signals. Okay, so signals is very easy to use in this case. We can see that the signals here are lined by the time that they were produced. And how does that work? Okay, this is the newest one, and if I'll scroll down, it gets older and older. Okay, and at the moment we have categories here. We can search by the categories if we want something specific. Okay, then we can see some of them doesn't have those numbers at the stop loss, entry price, and take profit. In a moment, we'll understand what that means. Okay, before we go ahead, I will just explain to you the general meaning. If you don't see those numbers for the take profit and stop loss, it means that this signal is no longer useful. So let's take a useful one. Then we're going to take something that is invalid and we'll make a comparison. So with gold at the moment, we click here on view signal. We see that the type here is buy. So we're just going to click here, click view signal, and we can expand. But this is a great example to show you what happens if you wait too long. You see, now gold, if I will refresh the page, those numbers are not going to appear. Let me show you what happens when the signal is futile. Click here on, this is the buy type. So just as an example, we're going to try that and it doesn't work. It doesn't work. Why? Because the price, let's read the message here, the market has already reached a key level. So the analysis that was done here on this signal has already passed the markers that are in here. Now let's try another one, maybe natural gas. Okay, this signal is valid, you see. And okay, if we'll click on buy, let's try buy. What happens is I get this take profit and stop loss automatically. Okay, with possible profit, with possible loss, and I'm ready to go. Okay, let's repeat that. This was very simple. Let's try that again. We'll click here on the signal section. We click here to get to natural gas. Then we click on view signal. We can choose the scenario and we are good to go. Okay, very, very simple. That took me less than 10 seconds. However, we can expand this process and we can make it more efficient. For instance, if I'm looking for a particular asset and I don't really want to scroll down and get to that, what I want is to search for an instrument and to know if it has a signal or not, and directly to do my analysis, because I'm not necessarily trading all those things. So how I can do it? Again, this to go back to the default screen. So one way is, of course, to see it from here, if it has this blue lightning icon. Second way is very, very simple. We're going to go to search symbol, and this time we're going to know if platinum has a signal or not. So we're going to go for platinum, click on platinum from the list, and we can immediately see that it doesn't have a signal. It doesn't have a signal. Corn has a signal, sugar has a signal, but platinum doesn't have a signal. Okay, so this is a very neat way to find if the instrument you're used to trade, it has a signal or not. If you're unsure about the instrument and you want to be inspired, you can go to the signal section and search manually. Now, let's speak a little bit about what we get in the signals. Okay, let's go with again, natural gas as an example, and what we see here, we can expand the chart. What we see here is some levels of support and resistance. And as we can see, the resistance are higher levels, higher than the current price. Support lines are lower than the current price. And we have the pivot, and we have the general price, which was the scenario is based on. Now, one of the things that I can do to further do my own additional analysis on the signals, which I highly recommend, okay, not just to randomly click here buy or sell, of course, just to add a little bit analysis to it. Okay, so what we can do is we can match those lines, so we can apply some analysis. We see, unfortunately, that we don't get high as the chart gets to. 4660 is not visible for us at the moment. Why? Because at the moment, let's look at the upper left. We see here at the corner, we click on this icon and we see 1M. What does that mean, 1M? Each candle on the chart at the moment represent 1 minute. So the scale and the perspective on the chart at the moment is minutes. Now, we're looking at analysis that was done on daily chart. So this is why we don't get these lines. What we can simply do is click here on 1M, scroll down, click on D1, and then we see the similar picture. And now we can even place those lines at the levels that we see. So this is the first, and this is the second, and that looks very, very nice. Let's also place at 4.020. Which is in here. Okay, sometimes it doesn't really comply to what we want, so we can click it and adjust it. And lastly, 3.9, 3.9, yeah. And we're good to go. We can even give them colors the same way that it's described, and we can do further analysis if we wish to. Of course, as you saw, this is not mandatory in any way, because I already showed you that we can use the signal within 10 seconds. But if we really want to add our analysis, we can now dig in and see what those levels are and how we can decide what scenario is best for us. All right, let's proceed. I think we spoke about the signals enough, so we can proceed. Maybe one more thing I would like to emphasize again. The new signals that we see here, okay, fresh signal that was just made here is with a certain scenario, with a certain agenda for the market. Meaning the more I'll wait, the initial scenario that was analyzed in here will turn to something else. Okay, this is why sometimes the signals are not available anymore. So you can pay attention to that and understand that the signal that was just made or a signal from 7 hours ago not necessarily work the same way. Okay, so let's proceed. At the moment we covered until this icon. Lower than that, we've got the news. This, by the way, is under the umbrella of technical analysis. Technical analysis, the signals that we just saw from the Trading Central, they're not manufactured by Evitrade, they buy the Trading Central. Okay, and as we saw, this is under technical analysis. We also have fundamental analysis, differences. Technical analysis will be what I can get from the chart. That fundamental analysis is what I can get from outside the chart. So technical will be how, and fundamental will be why. Technical is how is it moving, the averages, the levels, the fluctuations, everything we're using, candlesticks, and fundamental will be why. The reason behind why it's moving, the logic, and then we can combine and make a very powerful analysis. Now, if we're going to take a look at the news section, we can see, of course, this is the fundamental analysis part. We can see that underneath at the bottom, let's scroll down. Okay, we see right here in this blue rectangle here, 4 related instruments. So after I'm going to go through this article and understand whatever information it provides, I can click here on 4 related instruments and understand what can be useful from this article on those instruments. Okay, of course, in here as well, we have different categories. At the moment, we are in the general one. If I'm more into indices, so I can click on indices and I can see, okay, as an example, well, this is just one, but you guys get the point. It's very simple to use as well. Underneath, we have here discovery. This is again split into two types, technical analysis and fundamental analysis. Okay, this one is an example. The market buzz is something I like to use to understand about some stocks. As an example, if I'm looking at the way that this is aligned, is we see that the bigger it gets, the more mention it has. It doesn't have to look like that. You can make it as a table. I find it more convenient this way. It's a bit more visible. If I'll click on Tesla, which is right in the middle with 949 mentions, and we can see at the moment some parameters in here. And this is also divided to different, not categories, but different topics which we can pick from. And if we'll go with maybe revenue decrease, we'll see all the articles related are displayed. And then we can specifically directly choose the topic, we can read about it, go to the chart, make our analysis. We can also see here different parameters, okay, the news and web and social and the buzzing, so-called the mentions that it has, and we can see the price change. This is something for you guys to also explore. We can go back like that, and we can choose another instrument. But again, you guys get the point here. Is very simple to use. Moving onward, we have here the Forex features ideas, trading calculator, and economy calendar. Let's go with the calendar. This is as well fundamental analysis. In here, we can find all kind of events and decisions. Something here is, let's reset everything by clicking on the reset button. And let's extend from today until 2 weeks. Okay. Again, yeah, you gotta click again until this blue lane appear here. You see from those dates, then you know that those dates are the one that are marked. And then we can see from that day onward. Now, let's specify what we want, because we get a lot of events here from for the yen and for the peso and all those kind of things. We have to filter it for something specific. For instance, if we would like to stick with the yen, okay, currently there are no events available. Let's maybe go with The pound. Okay, neither. Okay. Let's unfilter that. Great. Just need a little bit of a push, a little bit of encouragement, and we are great. As you can see, we have here only the pound news, and they are also filtered by low, medium, and high. High will be high significant, high impact on the market. We have here few icons. We can also see the impact, volatility, price chart, event chart, and the add to calendar, which I find extremely useful because I can't remember when I'm busy at work during the week, I don't necessarily remember when was the event and to specifically go to the chart. What I can do here is very, very conveniently click on this button and just add it to my calendar. And I don't have to remember, I have it in the calendar and I can specifically open the chart and directly do my analysis. I mean, that's as comfortable as it can get, at least in my opinion. And what else I can do in here is I can specify an event that I'm looking for. For instance, if I'm looking for the okay, and then I can see not only the dates that we wrote, that we filter here, I can also see previous results. And this is a great opportunity to explain to you guys how the webinar here is aligned. We have here the previous result. We have here the forecast. This is what we expect to happen. And this is the actual, which we see only after the event took place. So this is the next interest rate decision. Okay, in a week, and in a week, maybe a bit more than a week. Okay, and we see that we don't have the actual because it hasn't happened. Okay, and that's considered as a high impact event, the interest rate decision. But we see that the previous was 4.5 and the forecast is 4.5. We can assume, okay, I don't want to give any false predictions, so we're going to leave it to open interpretation. There is a question here from Reno. This is currently available only to the funded account holders. One cannot access the calendar or the market buzz. Okay. I believe that to have access to this, you can contact your senior account manager, as I said in the beginning, and this is very easy to solve. Okay, very easy to solve. Just contact your senior account manager, explain the case that you don't have access, and he will solve it for you. All right. Now, at the moment, we have, as I said, the previous events, and we have an event that didn't happen. This is why it doesn't have the result. Very, very obvious and natural. Of course, if I want to focus on the medium events, I don't like to trade high volatility. Okay, let's go with, yeah, we don't have anything new at the moment. An upcoming event, maybe we'll filter that out. Okay, and now we see that we have, in general, we have those. Let's try medium again. Great. Okay, so again, you guys get the point. I don't want to waste too much time on the economic calendar, but it's very useful. It's very useful. You have here the button to add it to yourself, and just great. So I recommend for you guys to use. All right, I think we concluded the first segment. We can carry on with ease to the practical part. Let's click here on AvaTrade to go back to the default screen, and we'll quickly erase whatever we have here to the favor of our asset. But let's first find ourselves an instrument. I think let's click on commodities, maybe agriculture, and maybe How's coffee doing? Not bad at all. Not bad at all. Okay, that's lovely. All right. Just quickly preparing for us to see how it goes, and I promise you guys that I will explain to you exactly what I'm doing here very soon. But I just want to have a general image of where we are at. Okay. Yeah. And we're done. All right. So before we carry on to the practical part, let's speak a little bit about the toolbar we have here so we can actually function, we'll know how to function in this interface. So this one is actually a search bar. I can delete whatever is here, erase, choose something else, click it from the list. Very, very simple. If I want to bring coffee back, just as simple. I type down, I click, and I'm back. To the right, we're already familiar with this guy. We saw this is how I changed the time frame. To the right, we have here different layouts. The way that the shape of the chart, how it looks like, if it's a line, or if it's candlesticks, or if it's bars, and so on. And here I can enable my crosshair. Then I can finally get data from the candles, which I haven't until now, right? If I point on the candle, nothing comes up. So let's go with maybe crosshair. So you can see crosshair enables you the data from the candles when it's followed by this horizontal and vertical line when I move my hand. Yeah. In here, I have different layouts. I can choose instead of a single chart, I can go with 2, I can go with 3, and I can even have 4. And I can change what I have on the charts. Let's click on gold, maybe change it to silver. Okay, how I know that I'm changing that one with the blue rectangle surrounding it. So once you click, you see this blue thing, blue frame, then you know that it's selected, and you can just as easy as you saw, erase what I had, click on silver, and we've changed it. Very simple. Let's go back to single. And all right, and here in the FX indicators, we're going to add one soon, so it's not necessary to discuss at the moment. And almost all the way to the sell and the buy, we have here this arrow with the line. We can click on the line, place it on the chart, and use it. However, we need to select which one we want. So we need to click on the arrow, select what we want, and then we place it wherever we need, which will be that, and which will be that. Okay. Now, let's also click on sell or buy to enable the order entry. We can see 2 tabs in here as well. We have the order entry, which we are seeing now, and we have the instrument details to find the instrument details. We can see here all kind of things, the times that it's open, the lot size, the spread, the leverage, and the margin. We'll speak about it in a moment because we can also get those from outside, as you can see. Now, before we carry on, let's change the lot size to 0.01, and we're going to write down the name of our instrument like that. And as you can see, guys, when I roughly drew the lines, we have here the general agenda, which is quite bullish. It did plunge to 328, but it climbed back up. And I have a reason to believe through this funnel here that coffee can maintain the bullish trend. Okay, and with this in mind, if I think that this is in a buy scenario, that means that I need to target higher price. Higher price means that as long as the value will keep increasing from where it's at right now, I will keep making more profits. And if it gets lower than the value that it has right now, I will have losses. Therefore, With this understanding in mind, the general buy doesn't really help me. If I'm going to go for a buy now, thinking it can go higher, well, the same way it can go down. So I can't just go for a buy just like that. I need indication when it will go up and approximately until what price. Maybe I want to close my position at the green line and it's too far away, right? Maybe it will go down before that and I will lose before it gets to the green line. I don't know if it will turn around. I don't know at what point it will turn around. Look how the market is volatile and it's changing all the time. So it can change here as well. So how can I do that? Well, first of all, I need to set myself a certain target. So with this target, I will know when I can close the position or at what price I can close the position. For instance, if I'll take a buy now and it gets a little higher, let's say somewhere in this green area, maybe here, okay, if it gets to the white line and I haven't closed the position, I haven't made any profits. So what I need to do is I need to buy. It needs to go higher for me to make the profit, and then I can close the position. Okay, again, when I buy, I want the value to increase. If it gets higher, I need to close to make the profit. So if I targeted this line here and I haven't closed it at the time that it reached that level, I'm not going to make profits. Okay, if it went the other way around. So if I set to myself a certain target, 50, 100, 1,000, whatever target I have, and I'm able to close it and make my target, so I make the profits. Okay, so target will be for me at the moment $1,000. I also need to think about the duration of my position. I'm not going to hold this position if I'm planning to hold to make 1,000. I'm not going to hold it for a year, as an example. That's ridiculous. Less than 100 a month? No way, right? Maybe a month, something I can consider if I have several positions. Maybe I have another 5 or 6. Altogether, it comes down nicely. A week, of course, if I can make $1,000 a week with additional positions, I'm at very good numbers. But let's keep it reasonable. Let's make it 2 weeks. And the following ingredient that I'm going to jot down is movements, price difference. As I said, it's not useful to just randomly pick a price to close the position. I need to assess my analysis on something. So in this case, I looked at the resistance and I looked at the support. As you can see, I have this pink line. Let's make it a little lower, like that. And we have here 364 for the support line, primary, and then we have secondary 310, maybe a little higher, like that. Okay, and then we have 440, and this one is bothering us. Let's make it like that. There we go. And then we have the 425, and we have 440. Okay, a little higher. Now, at the moment, I can just target those numbers to close the position, okay, before I can assess if it's in the time that I thought to hold a position, right? If this level is something that I can statistically get to in a month, I'm not going to target it. I'm going to go for a lower one, or I need to change my plan. I'd rather not change my plan. So let's stick with 2 weeks and let's see how we can measure if it's those prices or those levels are realistic or not. So what we can do is one of two things. Of course, there are many ways, but I'm going to show you just the best one that I'm using. So one of them is to go manual checking and to manually look at the previous week. For instance, we're going to look at this candle and we're going to quickly write we'll write the numbers. How did I get the numbers? The numbers are here at the upper left. Okay, and as you can see, I'm not doing anything special. I'm just writing it down. manual check like the good old times. Of course, you guys are not going to use this method because I'm going to show you an indicator. But I would like to open your mind a little bit to the primitive way so you will know what this indicator does. Okay, and what we can simply do is we can simply, very primitively, again, it's not in a bad way, but you can still use it sometimes to validate, but to use an indicator is really not is not bad. Just a second. 374. Yeah. All right. So those are the numbers from last week from the candles that we have. Now I cannot rely on this range 26 and 13 because this is a wide range. What I need is an accumulated number of those numbers. Plus, I need to remember that this is just one day. So to analyze my future movements based on this specific week, it's not. We can see that it's different than the others as well. It's smaller. This candle is smaller than the previous. So taking it is not enough. What we need to do is we need a several number of candles, accumulate those numbers, and we don't have the time. So what we're going to do is we'll click on FX indicators, and in type to filter, we'll type down AVE for average true range. We'll select and drag it to the right. And in here, we can define how far we want it to go. And we will define the range of how many candles it accumulates. And based on that, we get the average. We have few types. We have simple, Wheeler's, weight, and exponential. We're not going to touch that today because it will take us too long. But Wheeler's does the job quite well. We'll stick with 1px and 14 in the length. That means that 14 weeks are going to be analyzed, giving us the number. We'll just change the color to something else. And at the moment, we see that the average of 25.33 is actually pretty casual. This is pretty casual. We see that what happened last week is not too off from the average. So what we can do is we can put here ATR equals 25.233, and we can definitely look at those numbers, see if they are in the range or not. So the primary resistance relatively to the price we're having is 425.47. Okay, minus the price that we have right now to make a comparison. How far away? That comes down to, let's see. Okay, now remember, this is the difference. Okay, what do you say, guys? Is this more than our range? This is the range. Yeah, the ATR is the range. So this is more than the range, or this is in our range? Let me just know that you guys understand what I just said. This is how far away my resistance is. This is the yellow line. The yellow line here is how far away from my entry, $37. This is bigger than the reference we have. This is bigger than the average movement. Okay, the average movement is $25. Okay, so this means that this is too far away. However, since my time in the beginning wasn't to hold it for a week, but to hold it for 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Okay, does that mean that it might be realistic or not? Okay, this is currently for 1 week. This is bigger than the range. Bigger than the range. But since I'm holding it for 2 weeks, I'm planning to hold it for 2 weeks, it might be reasonable. Just keep in mind that this average is not moving in a linear pace. It's not moving in a linear pace. It doesn't mean that this 25 will turn to 50 in 2 weeks. Okay, so by doing this, I'm using it as a reference, but I know that it's not guaranteed. Okay, it's not guaranteed. It might the same way, it might go down a bit, it might consolidate. We can't be too sure. But since I'm looking at 37 versus this 25 for 2 weeks, I have a reason to believe it's realistic. Maybe we'll stick with the actual average. Let's stick with the actual average. Okay, let's lower that down, and make it $25 away. This way it's also easier to explain. There we go. Okay, so this is where we are with the average. This is the average movement, 25. We'll also flatten that out. Okay, there we go. And now, because in a buy we said the price needs to go higher, the take profit closes the position automatically with a profit. That's what this pending order does. Stop loss is stopping the position automatically with a loss. That's really as easy as it can get. And we can see that if I will place the take profit $25 away, I can make 250. Okay, and if I will use the same reference to target the stop loss, I can lose potentially the same amount. But just a moment, this is $25 away and we can make or lose 250. What's happening here? Well, the reason is, as we can see, 0.01 for coffee is 10 units. Okay, how does that work? One lot, as we saw in instrument details, equals to 1,000 units. One lot, 1,000 units. 100% of a lot, 1,000 units. So 10% of a lot is 100. Yeah, 0.1 is 100. And 0.01 is 10. Which brings us to this 250. Because this 25 is actually multiplied by 10. Yeah, which makes our impact 10 times higher or lower. And this pending order here, if I'll click on the box and I will stabilize the entry with execute when price hits, and I will maybe bound it to 387, it's not bad. And then we can see that we can make or lose the same amount, but 250 is not what we're aiming for. What we're aiming for is 1,000. So how many units we need? Who can tell me how many units we need to make 1,000? Okay, we saw that 10 gets us 250, right? Okay, so 10 equals 250. How so? Because 25 times 10 equals 250. So how many do we need? What we can do is we can go target divided by movements, and then we get the units. So 1,000 divided by 25 is, who can tell me? Gonna give another five seconds. Good job, Sam. Good job. Good job, Sam. Well done. Who else? Rajith, very nice. Anybody else? Great. So let's do it together with a calculator here. We'll make it 1,000 divided by 25, and the answer is, of course, 40. And now let's put it to the test. So if we're looking at 0.01, and 0.01 is giving us 10. So how many do we need to get to 40? We'll click 1, 2, 3, and we have 40 units. And with 40 units, we get to the 1,000 that we wanted. Very, very easy. Not easy, but simple and okay. Now, let's look at these numbers. Let's look at these numbers and maybe we can modify our position for a better ratio. We have in entry, we have 387, that's a pending buy. You should also remember that this pending order is referenced by what's selected on the top. So make sure that when you're doing it, before you launch the position, make sure that you're on the right selection. Okay, that's what defines the pending order, if it's a pending buy or sell. The take profit we selected was 412. That leads us to 1,000. That's great. And stop loss is 368, and that also gets us to 1,000. So this is a ratio of 1 to 1, right? What if I want to go for another ratio of maybe 1 to half or 1 to 2? Some may say 1 to 2. So how do I do that? Okay, my question, guys, is with all the respect to this analysis that we have done here, still I'm not sure that I'm happy with making 1,000 and losing 1,000, because this 10%, it seems a lot if I compare it with the account balance. And I'm also going to give you here a very nice formula to know okay, just a second. Yeah, so how does that work exactly? Because we're looking at 10% growth, 10% loss. Okay, that's not bad. What if I want to make it 1,000 as possible profit, but lower my loss considerably? Maybe lower it to 250. 250 doesn't sound too bad. 250 is what percent out of the 10,000? Let's see. 250, just using the formula that I just jot down, equals factor, and this factor times 100. Okay, so let's do it together. Very simple, divided by 1,000 equals 125. Sorry, our balance is not 1,000, our balance is 10,000. There we go. So that makes a lot more sense. Yeah, that's the factor. So this is 0.25. Yeah, and that leads us to 2.5%. Oh, sorry. 2.5%. Yeah, which is completely fine with the ratio we're having. So how do we make it 250 from the 1,000? What I can do at the moment is I can click here on the plus to get our stop loss closer to the entry. I could change the lot size as well. I could do that. But if I will do that, then my profit will get impact as well. So I'd rather adjust the take profit or the stop loss than change the lot size. Because if I'll reduce, as an example, I will reduce the lot size, my profit will be lower as well. So what's the point, right? Let's maintain. And then what I could do is I could obviously get it closer and closer and closer, but this is not effective. What we could do is we could take this 25 that we took as reference, and we can just divide that by 4. And then this 1,000 will be 250. So we can take, we need to take the reference divided by 4, $6.50 away from where? From the entry. Okay, well, and now if we make it this way, so this is again, as I said in the beginning of the webinar, I truly understand that the last exercise was a bit swiftly, but I want to give you as much as content as I can. So if this was unclear, you can watch again. Uh, you can watch again this webinar on our YouTube channel. Now, let's recap in a few moments that we have left what we did today and how we can make it useful. One thing I'm going to say that the formulas, just a second, excuse me. One thing I'm going to say that the formulas displayed in here are universal and you may use it on any other instrument. It should work just fine. I would also tell you that let's recap. Let's understand what we did here today. So the general idea, as we can see, was bullish. We can see that it's been higher for the past few months. We also placed some lines here to capture the general trend, to capture support and resistance. We have those rectangle to help describe the area for profit and loss, and we have those timelines here to capture this area. Afterwards, what we did is we looked at those levels and we saw how realistic they were. As an addition, we targeted $1,000, understanding that just a buy here, what we had in the beginning, we had just a buy, right? And with this buy, it can turn around. We understood that. So we need some measurement if those lines we're targeting are validated, are they realistic, they are anything to do with what's actually happening. So what we did initially is we looked at the numbers, the candles, and we made comparison between the differences. Afterwards, we added the ATR, which doesn't analyze one candle, but let me remind you, 14 in the length. And we can, of course, change it to something else if we want. That depends how far away we want the ATR to reach from the current price. And based on that, we get the number here, which is the average true range. When we had this number, we used it as a reference. We saw that the numbers we targeted initially were too far away. Then we made it closer and we simplified this 250 we saw in the beginning was what would happen if we use the ATR with 0.01. You remember that? And then we extended the load size. We extended the load size because we wanted to make 1,000 and not 250. And we have extended it by 4, like that. And just a second, sometimes it slips away. You guys have to pay attention to that. Okay, and now the last thing that we did is we also adjusted the ratio between the possible profit to the possible loss, which is excellent at the moment. This one, 10% growth and 10% possible loss. Okay, so this is, we're almost done. We've got 2 minutes before we're going to say goodbye. What I wanted to tell you guys is this process is not mandatory. I understand it makes things a bit longer than just to, in 5 seconds to launch a position. But I think with those preparations, you get a little better idea of how to move forward and how to design the position to fit to your needs. Now, one last thing before we say goodbye. If I would like to know the necessary amount to open the position, what I can do is I can take the current price, okay, current price times number of units equals value. Of course, you guys don't need to remember how to do that because you're using this platform and it does this for you automatically. Okay, but this is good to know. Okay, the leverage here is, as you can see, 1 to 10. That means that we're multiplied by 10. And at the moment, if we are, just a second, we'll organize a little bit some things here. Yeah, and at the moment, if we would like to know how much we need to divide a value by the leverage to have the margin impact. In this case, it will be 15. It will be 15, and which will, of course, will be the number displayed here at the top left. So this will be 15,466 divided by leverage, which is 10, equals 1,545. Super, super simple. Again, really, I don't know how else to explain this formula. It's very, very simple. I mean, you guys see I verbally explained it like that. We have the leverage here, which you see it's been done automatically. So this is super simple. For MT5 and MT4 users, this formula is what you need to use to know the margin impact. And the margin impact is our necessary amount to open the position. With pleasure, with pleasure. I'm happy that you enjoy this. Very good, Cliff, Rhino. All right, so unfortunately, we are done for today. As I've explained several times, you can watch the recording on our YouTube on channel. Tomorrow, we're gonna have the live Q&A. I would like to welcome you all to join us. Until then, I wish you a fruitful week. Best of luck with trading, and have a good day.